The training hall smelled like burnt ozone and fear. Instructor Vrelk, all 7 feet of scaled muscle and bad attitude, circled the human with the kind of predatory focus that had made lesser species wet themselves. Literally, the Grillaxians had a whole incident report about it. You think you belong here, Softskin? Vrelk's voice rumbled like gravel in a blender. His claws extended with that signature click-click-click that usually preceded someone getting their face rearranged. The human, Lieutenant Maya Torres, just stood there, arms crossed, one eyebrow raised, looking about as impressed as someone watching paint dry. "Oh wow," she said, voice dripping with enough sarcasm to corrode steel. "The big scary lizard is trying to intimidate me. How original. Did you practice that snarl in the mirror this morning, or does it just come naturally?" The other instructors, 6 different species ranging from the crystalloid fex to the tentacled murican, went absolutely still. You could have heard a pin drop. Hell, you could have heard a pin think about dropping. Vrelk's yellow eyes narrowed to slits. "You dare mock me?" "Mock you?" Maya tilted her head, blonde ponytail swishing. "Buddy, I haven't even started yet. But please, continue with your little intimidation dance. I've got time before lunch." That did it. Vrelk lunged, claws extended, teeth bared, moving with the speed that had earned him the title of combat master across 3 systems. The kind of speed that turned opponents into abstract art. Maya moved faster. 1 second she was standing there looking bored. The next, she'd sidestepped, grabbed Vrelk's arm mid-swipe, and used his own momentum to send him face-first into the training mat with a sound like a sack of potatoes hitting concrete. The entire hall shook. "Nice try, though," Maya said cheerfully, not even breathing hard. "Really good effort. Gold star for enthusiasm." Instructor Fex, whose translucent body was currently flashing a very concerned shade of purple, made a sound like wind chimes having a panic attack. "This is not protocol. This is not how initiations function. The human should be cowering, or fleeing, or at minimum, showing signs of distress." "Yeah, about that," Maya said, keeping one boot casually pressed between Vrelk's shoulder blades while he struggled. "Here's the thing about humans. We invented a concept called spite. It's like stubbornness mixed with attitude, seasoned with a healthy dose of watch me do it anyway. Super fun at parties." Vrelk roared, trying to push himself up. Maya just shifted her weight. He went back down. "Also," she continued, like she was discussing the weather, "we're persistence hunters. Which means my ancestors chased prey until it literally died of exhaustion. For fun. As a hobby. So if you think one grumpy dinosaur reject is going to make me quit, you've clearly never met a human with something to prove." The Murican instructor, Kellos, rippled his tentacles nervously. But the psychological evaluation indicated you should respond to threat displays with appropriate fear responses. The data was very clear. Maya laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh man, you guys really don't understand humans at all, do you? Fear is just spicy excitement. Plus, I grew up with 2 older brothers who thought putting spiders in my bed was peak comedy. You think scales and claws are scary? Try finding a huntsman spider in your pillowcase at 3 in the morning. That's character building." Vrelk finally stopped struggling, probably because he realized it was pointless. Or maybe because his pride was more injured than his body. Hard to tell with Grillaxians. "You dare humiliate me in front of the entire training cadre." His voice was quieter now, dangerous in a different way. The kind of quiet that preceded violence. Maya leaned down, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper that somehow everyone could still hear. "Buddy, you humiliated yourself when you thought theatrics would work on a species that watches horror movies for entertainment. We literally pay money to be scared. We invented roller coasters. We jump out of perfectly functional aircraft for fun. Your little snarl routine? That's Tuesday." She stepped back, releasing him. Vrelk rose slowly, dignity in tatters, posture screaming wounded pride and barely contained rage. "This isn't over," he growled. "Oh, I hope not," Maya grinned, the kind of smile that suggested she was enjoying this way too much. "I haven't had a good workout in weeks. My cardio's been suffering. Please, keep trying. I'll wait." The other instructors exchanged glances, those subtle looks that transcended species, the universal language of what in the actual void did we just witness. Instructor Fex's color shifted to a confused orange. "How do we proceed with training when the human has already neutralized our primary intimidation specialist?" "I have a suggestion," Maya raised her hand like a student in class. How about we skip the whole alpha predator nonsense and get to the actual training? You know, the stuff I came here to learn? Unless this whole program is just expensive theater, in which case, 10 out of 10 for commitment. But the plot needs work. Vrelk's scales rippled with barely suppressed fury, but something else flickered in those yellow eyes. Something that looked suspiciously like respect wrapped in annoyance. He straightened to his full height, brushing imaginary dust off his training armor with exaggerated dignity. Very well, human, he said, voice tight. You want real training? You shall have it. But do not come crying when your soft flesh cannot handle what we demand. Maya's grin widened. Crying? The only tears you'll see are from me laughing at whatever adorable challenge you think is difficult. Bring it on, teach. The training that followed made boot camp look like a spa day. The instructors, clearly trying to break this insufferably confident human, threw everything at her. Gravity manipulation exercises that should have crushed her bones. She gritted her teeth and adapted. Sensory deprivation chambers designed to induce madness? She napped. Actually napped. When they pulled her out after 6 hours, she yawned and asked if breakfast was ready. This is impossible, Kellos muttered, tentacles twisted into knots of confusion. The biological limitations alone should have incapacitated her within the first hour. Her species operates on inferior oxygen processing and inadequate muscle fiber density. Inferior. Maya, hanging upside down from a zero-gravity combat rig, somehow managed to look offended while blood rushed to her head. Dude, my species colonized 6 continents before we invented the wheel. We made boats out of reeds and said, hey, let's fight the ocean. The ocean. And we won. Inferior is not in our vocabulary. Instructor Fex, now cycling through colors so fast he resembled a confused disco ball, consulted his data pad frantically. The psychological profile suggested humans possess something called stubbornness, but the translation indicated it was a minor trait. Perhaps our linguistics algorithms malfunctioned. Minor trait. Maya flipped herself right side up with casual ease that shouldn't have been possible given the rig's difficulty settings. Stubbornness is basically our species' superpower. We once had a guy who got his arm trapped under a boulder in the middle of nowhere. Know what he did? Cut it off himself with a pocket knife and walked out. We made a movie about it. Called it inspirational. Vrelk, who had been observing with increasingly grudging approval, made a sound between a snort and a growl. That is not inspirational. That is psychotic. Potato, tomato, Maya shrugged. Point is, we don't quit. Ever. It's genetically hardwired at this point. My great-grandmother survived 3 wars, a plague, and her husband's cooking. My mom ran a marathon with a broken toe because she already paid the registration fee. Quitting is literally not an option our brains recognize. The days blurred into weeks. Every impossible task they assigned, Maya completed. Not always gracefully, not always quickly, but she completed them. When the combat scenarios got lethal, she adapted. When the academic requirements seemed designed for species with 3 brains, she studied until her eyes bled. Metaphorically, mostly. The other trainees, a mix of species from across the Allied systems, watched with expressions ranging from awe to terror. A young Fexian named Luri approached Maya during a rare break period, colors shifting nervously between green and yellow. Lieutenant Torres, Luri's voice chimed softly. May I inquire how you maintain such relentless determination? My species values efficiency and logic, but your approach seems fueled by something we cannot quantify. Maya looked up from her protein ration, which tasted like sadness mixed with rubber. You want the honest answer? Spite. Pure, concentrated spite. Every time someone tells me I can't do something, this little voice in my head goes, watch me, and suddenly I've got enough energy to move mountains out of sheer contrariness. That seems metabolically impossible. Welcome to humanity, kid. We run on spite, caffeine, and the desperate need to prove people wrong. It's gotten us pretty far. The final evaluation arrived faster than expected. The instructors, presumably tired of trying to break the unbreakable human, decided to throw everyone into a live combat simulation. Real weapons, real danger, real consequences. The kind of test where failures didn't get to retry. Vrelk addressed the assembled trainees with his typical warmth, which is to say none whatsoever. This scenario will test everything you have learned. You will face enemies designed to exploit your species-specific weaknesses. Most of you will fail. Some of you will die. Any questions? Maya raised her hand. Yeah. Is there a time limit? Or can we take our time and really enjoy the carnage? Vrelk's expression suggested he was reconsidering his entire career path. There is a 4-hour maximum window. Perfect. I'll be done in 2. She was done in 90 minutes. When Maya emerged from the simulation chamber, covered in synthetic blood and grinning like a maniac, the instructors stood in stunned silence. Vrelk checked the results 3 times. Then 4. Then he threw the data pad across the room. Impossible. The difficulty was calibrated for a full team of specialists. One human should not have survived, let alone achieved a perfect score. Maya wiped blood off her face with the back of her hand. Should not, could not, did anyway. That's kind of our thing. You really need to update your human cultural database, by the way. It's woefully incomplete. Vrelk stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, deliberately, he extended his clawed hand. A gesture of respect among Gralaxians, reserved for warriors who had earned it through combat. You are insufferable, arrogant, and defy every logical parameter we established, he said, voice rough with something that might have been admiration. You will make an excellent officer. Maya shook his hand, grip firm despite her exhaustion. Thanks. You're pretty okay yourself. For a lizard who tried to eat me on day 1. I was not going to eat you. Could have fooled me. As Maya walked away toward the showers, Instructor Fex turned to Vrelk, colors shifting to a confused pink. Should we inform command that our training protocols are insufficient for humans? Vrelk watched the human disappear around the corner, leaving bloody footprints and chaos in her wake. No, we should inform them that everything we knew about limits was wrong. The humans don't break. They simply refuse to acknowledge that breaking is an option. That seems dangerous. Extremely. I am grateful they are allies. In the distance, Maya's voice echoed down the corridor, singing something off-key about staying alive. The instructors looked at each other with the shared understanding of beings who had just witnessed something both terrifying and magnificent. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy, and the galaxy was utterly unprepared for what that meant. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.